Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking some time out of your schedule today for our What's New for Business Central Wave 2 2021 Release Wave webinar. My name is Tess, and I'm the facilitator today. Before I pass it over to our presenters, I want to remind you that if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the questions area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll answer any questions at the end of the presentation. This session will be recorded and shared with you later this week. So I'd like to introduce our presenters today, Tracy Gillis and David Stockmall, who are both on our Dynamics 365 Business Central team here at Encore. So David, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Tess. Hello, everyone. This is our What's New for Business Central Wave 2 2021 webinar. So as Tess said, it's myself, David Stockmall, and my colleague, Tracy Gillis. I'm a solution specialist at Encore, and Tracy is a senior solution specialist.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so I'm going to go through a few slides here, and then we'll have separate demo sessions. But the first thing that we wanted to highlight with this Wave release is Business Central now has a desktop app. So this is going to allow you to have a separate dedicated window to Business Central. So this is for people who may have multiple browser tabs open and it's kind of cluttered on your desktop. So now you will have a dedicated icon in your taskbar when you're working in Business Central. This is installable from your web browser in the address bar, and you'll see that little download icon which we've highlighted. It'll be on the far right side of your address bar in the browser that you're using. A shortcut icon will also be added to your desktop for whenever you want to open the Business Central app back up, and it will remember whichever environment that you were in when you were last using Business Central. Another thing new with this release is adding additional source columns. So in the general ledger entries page, you can personalize your view and add the source type and source number fields as columns on that GL entries page. Encore was actually, we've developed an in-house app that had displayed these already. And one additional thing that our app actually displays is the source name. So I'll highlight it in our demo, but you can see from this screenshot here, by clicking that 40,000 source number there, you can actually see that customer. You'll get a pop-out with the customer, and you can drill down to the customer card. You can also see that customer balance. Our Encore Layer app will actually tell you the name right in its own column. There will be a future webinar highlighting all of our features in our Encore Layer app. Microsoft has also added a help pane search bar. So that help pane, when you click that question mark in the top right of your Business Central window, there's a new search bar here that provides an in-app experience for your search needs. The key convenience part here is that it remains open while you navigate through Business Central. So whatever page you're working on, that sidebar will remain open despite you navigating to different pages in Business Central. This can be helpful for keeping your search up and referencing it as needed. So now I will go through a quick demo of these items. So this is our homepage for Business Central, looking at Cronus. And you can see up here that we have this download icon in the right side of our address bar. So we're going to click this. Asks us if we want to install the Business Central app. We're going to click install. Now this pops out a whole new instance of Business Central. And you can see that the browser looks completely different. You can't see my taskbar, but Business Central has its own icon now, separate from my Chrome. So if I'm going from window to window between different apps or browsers, there's a very quick way for me to navigate back to Business Central without having to click Chrome and then clicking on the appropriate tab. So next is the additional source columns. So we're going to go to our general ledger entries page. And we're going to personalize. Settings, personalize, expand this open, add field. And we can see that one source code is up here already, but just to highlight, I will search for source. So we can see now that we have source type. I'm going to drag that in here. Source number, right there. Fun, we're going to bring in, please. Source code. We're going to go done, clear that personalization. Now we can see that, scroll down here. There we go. So now we can see that we have source number and source type for each of our ledger entries. So if we click, for instance, customer 10,000, we'll click that. We'll see that that's this customer. And just like that screenshot, you can click here. You can see that at Alpine Ski House, that shows up. We'll be able to see the customer balance. And you can actually drill down straight to the customer card. And we can see that balance in that pop-out is reflected accurately straight on the customer card. What I'll also highlight now is that search pane. So clicking that question mark here, and we can search for whatever you desire. So one example would be, let's say, customer posting groups. So we'll type in customer posting groups. Hit enter, and we can see that we have posting groups set up. This is for the check changes that are new with this wave, and then also setting up posting groups in Dynamics 365 Business Central and Learn. So this is actually a Learn module where you can navigate to this page. It's totally free for you to take a self-guided module on how you want to set up posting groups. Now, this is a key difference from how, when we open up the search, searching from the search function within Business Central instead of searching through the help pane. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to type in customer posting group. And we'll look at our documentation. So we can show all for the documentation. You can see how there's some differences here. How posting group setup is now fourth down on the list when on the help pane, it's actually first. So for new users, the help pane search bar is actually, it's a bit of a better resource for learning Business Central. The other thing to note is that when you're searching for a subject in the general search bar, learning modules do not show up in the documentation. So if you want to take any of Microsoft's self-directed modules for learning, the best thing to do is to type the subject in here and see if there is a tailored module for that subject. It'll show up in this sidebar here. So moving on through our slides, default line types. So you can now specify a default type for both sales and purchase documents. Originally, when, say, an example being creating a sales invoice, the line would always default to item, and you or any one of your users would have to always manually change that to GL account, resource, fixed asset, something like that, every single time they created a new document. So this saves a lot of time for any business that don't always need or may never need to use items, and they may be exclusively using GL accounts. To set that up, here's a screenshot of the sales and receivables setup page. I will go through this process, but it is at the bottom right of the general tab. And for the payables setup, it's identical. You will have to set the settings for both sales and payables, or receivables and payables, to use this functionality for the respective document types. Additionally, there are some posting preview additions. There's a new extended posting preview type found on the general ledger setup page. I'll go through a demo of this as well. It is close to the bottom. And this provides a hierarchical view button on the posting preview page. So this is a nice way of organizing things under, under tabs, which you'll see in the demo. So also with Wave 2, there's expansions to editing in Excel. The option is now available on recurring general journals and the intercompany general journals page. The button has also been moved across Business Central. So it's under this new Share button on the right side where you can find the Filter button and the Info pane button. So it is not under a Page button on the menu anymore. So this is important to note, because edit in Excel is a popular function, and so some people, after this new wave gets released to the public, are going to be searching for that edit in Excel button. And so you can find it under the Share button. There's other enhancements with Microsoft Excel as well. So when you are printing a report or document, you can send it to a data-only Excel function. The file name is now going to match the page being edited. So when you have multiple windows open in Excel, you'll be able to quickly know which page is which. And this data-only capability is very nice for individuals that want to retrieve raw data for their functions. So I'll go through the different examples, but traditionally it would be harder to pull that information in a easily digestible fashion through sending things to Excel. And so using this data-only capability, you'll have all the data you need for using things like pivot tables or exporting it to different systems. All right, so we will go through these different functionalities. Go back to my Business Central window here. We will back out. So starting with that default line type. So we're going to go to Sales and Receivables Setup. You can see here, we don't have to click Show More. It's showing up already. But this is this document default line type. So by default, it's set to item. So we can open this up, and here's our selection: GL account, item, resource, fixed asset, or charge for an item. So let's say we're going to change that to GL account. You can see it's saved. We'll back out. And now we're going to create a new sales invoice. We're going to go new. We can pick any old customer name. It really doesn't matter. And now you can see for the line items, it is now defaulted to GL account. We don't have to sit here and open this up for every single item and change that type value. So this way, it's easy. You can add new lines. So if we have new GL, let's say Medicare payable, sure. And then you have a new item, GL account will automatically show up. So this will save a lot of time for individuals that are creating new documents in Business Central. So we're going to exit out of here. And next is the posting preview editions that we were talking about. So we're going to look at an invoice with multiple lines. I believe this is one. Yes. So first thing we need to do before we posting preview is we're going to go into our general ledger setup. We're going to go here, and we can see down at the bottom here, posting preview type. So under normal circumstances, this is going to be set to standard. And I believe, yes, so you will have to click show more under the general tab of the general ledger setup. Click show more, it's down on the bottom right-hand side. We're going to posting preview type, we're going to click extended. That's going to be saved. So now when we have this invoice, we have two different items here. We go posting and preview posting. And this is this button that is added along with this extended posting preview. So we can show this hierarchical view. I'm going to turn that on. And now you can see a breakout of different tabs of what this invoice is hitting. We'll expand this a bit here. So you can see for accounts receivable, it's hitting every single GL account. So you're not bombarded with a bunch of different lines of GLs for GL accounts. You can open and inspect, preview each section. So that's a nice feature for kind of cleaning things up and making the posting preview easier to digest. So next, we're going to look at the edit in Excel functions. So one of the pages that is the edit in Excel function has been added to in this release is recurring general journals. So you can see here that we have two lines set up already. Recurring accounts payable amounts, 1 week recurring and 2 weeks recurring. So no more do we have a page button up here to edit in Excel. We're going to go over and click on this share button, and we're going to open edit in Excel. You're going to see that we have a download. I'm going to open that up. We're going to enable editing. I'm going to let Microsoft Dynamics retrieve our data, and here we go. We have our data. So for things like, we can change the date here. So instead of our posting date of April, let's change it to May. So we're going to have this one starting May 3rd. That's good. And then this one, we're going to have every 2 weeks starting on May, let's go May 17th. And we'll do the same with our document dates. Change this to May 3rd. And for our 2 week recurring journal entry, I change that to May 17th. And now from here, we can down on our right side, we can click Publish. You can see Publish Successful, workbook has been updated. So we're going to go back to here, and we can see that it hasn't been updated yet. So what we can do, we can refresh the page, back out, go back into that page, and we can see now that our posting dates have been updated. So this edit in Excel function for all pages. It has been moved to this share button. It's very important to note. So I'm also going to talk about the other enhancements with Microsoft Excel. I'm going to use aged accounts receivable as an example. I'm going to search for aged accounts receivable. Reports and analysis. So we have a variety of options here. So we can say, yeah, aged as of April 30th, sure, 30-day aging period, that's fine. So there's this print to Excel function. This button here is not, it's not always available. It's only available on certain reports. And so we can print that. And you get, so we see a printing preview here. We can open up this Excel page. We have something like this. We have our 4 customers with their different aging. Other options. We'll bring that report back up. So the other Excel options you have are under this Send To button. Now, traditionally, you would only have this Send to Microsoft Excel data and layout. So I'm sure many of you are already familiar with this function. So I'm going to click this just for illustration purposes. When you send to Microsoft Excel, you get things in this format. So you have the data and the layout. But what's new in this wave is the data only option. So this is very cool. It gives you a wealth of data for these items. Click OK. And it does seem like a lot, but it gives you everything that you need to know about these items. So you can scroll across. There's a wealth of columns here. You can scroll all the way over. You have your different aging types and then your different amounts. So you really get a fine amount of detail through this function. And this is the data you'd want to use for pivot tables or exporting to different software that you or your company may use. So we're definitely excited to see this as an option. All right, I will now like to hand it over to my colleague, Tracy.
Thanks, David. Just want to confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna take on the last part of this demo. Sorry, I didn't have this quite ready. There we go. Oh, I'm not an expert. I'm just gonna quickly jump ahead. Those Excel enhancements are really exciting. As David said, they're the ability to send any report to Excel now with just the data so that you can utilize it. We're all pretty excited here on the consulting side. We think that's going to be really useful for our customers. The some interesting new features that have come with Wave 2 or with this Wave 2. Microsoft is building more and more of some tools to help users get to know the basics. So there's a handful of little tools. They continue to build them. They're also making it extensible. And what I mean by that is that if you were to take the time and the energy to actually video things yourselves, you would be able to create a tour for onboarding of new staff and have it actually be personalized to your routine and your manner of business process. So it's new stuff that's coming. They continue to build these tours, so it's kind of exciting that if you take the time and energy, you would be able to have a smooth, easy onboarding process for new users to Business Central. So I will demo that for you in a moment. There are also a couple of interesting improved user experiences. In particular, I think this one is going to be really helpful for new and old users alike. I think we've probably all seen those posting errors when you go to post a document and you've missed something. Usually it's around the dimension side of things. So Microsoft has improved the messages, and they're actually making it easier for you to correct what the error is right within the message itself, which can be a faster, more effective process. There's always the ability to go back to the document and edit it in the normal fashion, but the ability to make the adjustment correction within the error message itself is a pretty decent improvement in my opinion. Microsoft is also, they continue to always improve their integration with other products. David's already demonstrated the new updated features with integration with Excel. They're always continuing to improve these kinds of things. And one of the new features within this wave is the ability to share records with Microsoft, utilizing Microsoft Teams. So for those of you who have Teams installed, there is a share button now that's at the top of records. You're able to share with documents, with cards and documents, not yet with journals. For those of you who aren't using the approval workflow functionality within the system, this would allow you to sort of institute a possible informal workflow. So an example I could think of is you've created a new customer and you weren't entirely sure that you got the address information correct, or you wanted to get someone's official approval that you set that record up correctly. You would be able to share that page within Teams that provides a link back, and the user or the team that you shared it with would be able to quickly click on the link and jump into the system. So it's an interesting new feature that would allow for more informal sharing of information at the card and document level. It certainly doesn't replace the approval workflows, but it allows for a little more informal but consultative approach to sharing information within Microsoft Teams. Another new feature that is part of this wave is the ability to email from cards. For anyone who's been on Business Central now for a while, the emailing functionality within Business Central continues to grow and have more features to it. This is another one, and I will show you a demonstration of this. What's great about it is it starts to track and record the history within the actual record itself. And if you're utilizing the attachments functionality from within Business Central, either on a card or a document, it would allow for quick attachments of those documents into the email itself. So I'm sure that there's lots of different ways that people can think to utilize this. It's, again, just one of the continued work improvements that Microsoft does with their integrations of other Microsoft products. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into my demo. So what I'm going to show you first is a couple examples of these tours. Typically what you will have is a box that starts like this. And I'm just going to relaunch it because I've already taken the tour. So it's good to know that you can do that. What these tours do is just allow you to actually focus, and it provides helpful insights as you're going through the pages. I'm just noticing now that, there we go. So here's the pop-up and the tour. The intent of this is just to provide users in this particular tour with a quick first look around, right? I get the opportunity to take my time and read it. I click next and it moves me on to my next stop in the tour. Click next. When I'm done everything, I'm able to say got it. At any point in time, I'm able to say skip the tour if I don't want to do it. I'm just going to jump into this one, revisit this tour. So what it's doing is it's popping me away from the main page into an area where it wants to instruct me and show me how to utilize getting data into Excel, right? So I'm sitting on my list of customers, I click next, and it's now instructed me where to go and what to actually click to be able to export this page to Excel, right? So it's a great little tool. What's really exciting about it is that you would have the ability to personalize this for your company, for your teams, create your own videos for this type of thing so that users would be able to get a more personal intro experience. Tells me I can go back to where I was. Okay, and at any point in time, you can sort of restart that if you like. I'm just going to jump and see if I can get a tour in this page. No, I don't have a tour set up for this one. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the better process, the better explanations when there's error messages. So I'm going to head into sales invoice, and I have an example already set up for tray research. In this particular example, I have set up the environment so that my area dimension code is mandatory, but I've created this invoice where I have forgotten to do this. Probably a very common process for new users, and just occasionally people forget during their data entry. So I'm going to go ahead and go to posting and posting preview. And you can see that this screen has changed quite a bit. It's got a few more columns added to it. More importantly, it's added some context information in that it shows me that my problem is an error my problem is a dimension value is missing, but it actually very specifically tells me that it's missing on this invoice on my 20,000 line. And here's what is an exciting new feature is if I click on this actual context, it pops open the dimension entry for that particular line. And I'm able to go ahead and actually correct my error while I'm still in this error screen. So the thing that's exciting about this is that it took me, I think, 4 clicks there. If I do my preview posting, yay, we're all excited about this new hierarchical view. The fact that I can see grand totals per GL account is super exciting. But more importantly, I didn't get an error message there. So the ability to correct that error right within the error message page is faster than me having to, okay, figure out which line. If I've got lots of lines, then I have to go and I have to click here and I have to click related, click on dimensions. It saves your clicks, right? And as we all know, data entry is all about the time. So that's what's exciting about that. Excuse me. The next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to do it with 2 parts. So the first is I'm going to jump into this customer card and highlight the share feature. So this is the share to teams functionality that's now available. I'm going to click this. And what it allows me to do is it pops this up. I'm able to, this is your Teams locations that you would be able to do. You can see that it does a link. I could type something in here if I wanted to and essentially share, right? It's been shared, close my Teams link and away you go. So this was the feature that I mentioned. You could utilize it as a sort of an informal workflow or you're sharing documentation from within the system. The next thing that I'm going to show is the emailing function. I'm going to use this same customer card. So when I click on, oh, sorry, this is an invoice. I want to go back to my customer card. I'm going to click on this customer and I have an action option, and on the far right of the action option, I can actually now click a send email. So any of the document pages like customer cards, vendor cards, excuse me, invoices, those types of things that have an email address associated with them would be able to utilize this. So you can see that it's grabbed my email, it's from me, I get to type in my subject. I have the ability to type in my own message. Okay, and what's really interesting is that because I have an attachment on this customer card, I have the ability down in the attachments area that I can very quickly add an attachment from the source itself. I can also browse to my desktop, but what's exciting is that if you're utilizing attachments on your records within Business Central, you would be able to quickly add this to the email itself. Okay, so I now have this added to the email and I'm able to just send the email. I had mentioned that it actually tracks that information now. So I'm just going to go down and look at my email status or my email activities within Business Central. I'm going to click on the sent emails from the last 30 days. And you can see that this record is here now. What I am able to do right from this list is I can quickly show the source. It pops me back into that customer card. From within this customer card, I'm still able to see those, the full details of that email. If I look at related and history, here's the list of the emails sent for this customer card. And I can actually click on the link and it opens it up and I see the whole application, or pardon me, the whole email. So that's a couple of exciting new features. I'm just going to jump back to the webinar. A couple of other changes that are worth noting. There's a lot of changes. We are going to show you the link and provide you the link with this. It's definitely worth your time and energy to go through and read some of this stuff. A couple of other high points that I pulled out of the list of changes. There's now a customer consent functionality with data exchange services. For those of you who may be using OCR, or PayPal, or AMC fundamentals, right? You have the ability to block sharing or consent to sharing of data with these third-party services. For those of you on the inventory side of things in Business Central, there are quite a few different changes, some small. Production BOMs and routing on stock keeping units are now taken into account in the planning scenarios. So Microsoft just continues to enhance this kind of planning scenarios, so that's great. There are alternative units of measure available in warehousing documents that are tracked by serial numbers. So that's a nice new feature for those of you who utilize serial numbers. On the bank and payment reconciliation, if you're utilizing the auto matching function, there's a many to one matching, and any entries will be auto matched when you're doing the transferring differences to journal. So that's just an extra step that you don't have to manually do. Last slide here is the links. So this will be part of the information you'll get at the end. I'm just going to click on this because I would like you to see that there is a pardon me, a whole set of documentation about what is new in this wave. And so you're able to go through and take a look at this list and click on the item. It provides you with a brief description. In some cases, depending on what you're looking at, there'll be little videos or helpful hints for you. All right, so in terms of the demo, I'd like to open it up for any Q&A. Tess, do we have any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, David and Tracy. Yes, we do have a few questions. So the first one is, when sending an email from a document, did the email automatically include the document where the email originated, like the invoice?
Okay, I think what that question is asking, well, could you read that just one more time?
Yeah, for sure. When sending the email from a document, did the email automatically include the document where the email originated?
It did not. When I do sending from a document, if there are attachments in that document, it's a couple of clicks to actually add those attachments into the email. I think that's the question that's being asked. So it's not automated.
Okay, that sounds good. How do we know if we have access to these updates?
Oh, that's a great question. So Microsoft always allows a preview time frame for you, and how you would utilize that is you would want to create a new sandbox within your Business Central admin section. And when you create that new sandbox, it allows you to select the Wave 2, which is version 19. So some of you may or may not know how to do that. If you're one of our customers, you could send in a support case to our Encore Care team and ask them to create a new sandbox environment for you using Wave 2. And then you would just have a new URL that you would be able to log in and explore.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. Those are the 2 questions that have come in, and it looks like we are at the end of our time. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you Tracy and David for sharing the new release information and taking us through the new features.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.